Hola a todos. Bienvenido a Madrid. Welcome to Madrid on this gorgeous 18 degrees sunny day. I'm wandering around the city today. So people have been sending me questions for the last month, wondering about what I'm doing here, and just curiosities about how I'm able to move to Madrid and work here. So I thought what I would do today, since I'm recovering from a cold and can't really do much activity, is I'd answer some of those questions. And in fact, yesterday I did a call out for some more questions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all together, sum them all up, put similar ones together, that kind of thing, and answer about 10 questions as I wander back through the city towards my apartment. I'm just outside of El Retino Park, and I'm going to head back towards La Latina neighborhood. Come on, let's go. So first off, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Preston. I run a little page called portageur.ca. I have been for the last few years trying to live my life 28 days at a time, visiting as many cities as I can. But recently, I figured that what could speed up that process and allow me to see more cities is maybe move to Europe and move to Spain in particular, which is what I'm trying to do now. So I'm applying for a digital nomad visa. I'm putting in the paperwork. I'm waiting for the paperwork, and hopefully soon I'll have that in order, at which point I'll be able to travel within this great country as much as I like, as well as in the Schengen zone, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So the first question that everyone always asks is it scary? The answer to that is yes. It's extremely scary. I've had moments before I left and after I left where I was like, holy crap, what am I doing? And even moments like during the day where you're just suddenly like, oh, I'm like 8,000 kilometers away from home. I'm not in the usual place. I don't know what's out there, those types of things. But it's a good kind of scary. And it's a helpful challenge more than anything else. What I found out over the last couple of years is that I do well when being challenged, especially when it comes to social anxiety and getting myself out of bed and those types of things, and feeling like I'm supposed to be somewhere, right? Like this is a huge challenge for all of that. And every day I gotta put in the effort. So yes, it's scary, but it's a good scary and it's a helpful scary, if that makes sense. Another question that everybody seems to ask me is how does one move to Madrid? Well, it's not actually easy. You can't just move to another country, right? There is a process, there are paperwork, right? Like when it boils down to it, every country wants to protect its own economy, so they're going to make you go through a few hoops to make sure that you're a contributing citizen and all that stuff, right? But a lot of countries offer different types of visas, long-term, short-term. Gets really boring, but what I'm trying to do is get a digital nomad visa, which will allow me to stay here for 3 years, and then I can renew again pretty indefinitely each 2 years. So that's what I'm hoping to do. The problem is not all my paperwork's in order. I'm waiting on 2 little documents. The Canadian government is ridiculously slow. And so, there's a good chance this might not work out. Because the other problem that a lot of people have alluded to is the fact that when you come to Europe, most of Europe is in what they call the Schengen zone. So they all kind of share like this immigration policy, right? Along with other things. But basically it allows people to come here for 90 days total. Then you got to leave for another 90 days, then you can come back and all that stuff, right? So this will allow me not to have to jump in and out of Europe, hopefully. So yeah, it's about applying for that paperwork, going through those hoops, all that stuff. The other thing is I'm kind of lucky. My job allows me to work from anywhere. So that's what I'm doing. and now I chose Spain. The next question I get asked so often is, how would I get started doing something like this? Like, where do you begin? And the answer to that, regardless of where you are moving, whether that's moving to Europe, whether it's moving to Spain specifically, or anywhere, where I'd begin is the internet and start to search for moving to whatever country I want to move to class. There's tons of them for almost every country. And basically what they'll do is they'll go through the options, the steps, all the things that you need to do to move to those countries, including some cultural differences that you may have to encounter, but more importantly is like the documentation, the process, or the various resident or visa schemes that you can take part in that would be right for you. For example, I'm doing a digital nomad visa, but other people have things like retirement visas or digital nomad visas, or there's something called a non-lucrative visa, which basically means you're not working. It's a retirement visa. All kinds of options out there, and every country is different and all the requirements are different. So you jump in one of those classes, they're totally worth it. As a bonus, they will hook you up with a bunch of other resources, like an immigration lawyer or a moving specialist. I went through, I actually signed up for both a move to Italy class a couple years ago, as well as a move to Spain class. If anyone is interested, I can send them a couple of links for those. But yeah, I was interested in moving, and even though I didn't actually move to Italy as we understand it, I did find that super valuable to understand what the options were, like just generally any country. But also I figured out at the time before getting in too far that I couldn't really get into Italy the way I wanted to. And then when I found out about some of the options for Spain, I jumped on it. Of course, that brings up the question, why Spain and why Madrid specifically? Well, as I kind of hinted at, Spain has a digital nomad visa that allows me to stay here a lot longer than some of the others. And Madrid specifically, although there's so many other places that I really want to see in Spain, I guess that's true of everywhere. I figured since I have to be here for about 6 months to settle my residency and all that, I figured this would give me, it's the capital, and this would probably give me the best chance to see as much as I can see within those 6 months. Whereas if I went to a smaller town, I might have to travel a little bit further out to keep myself busy. But it's all good. It really doesn't matter. I would have been happy going anywhere, quite frankly. A lot of people have asked me, what about Italy? Well, don't tell anybody. But to be honest, if I had my choice, I would move to Italy. But the problem is that those options that I talked about earlier, when it comes to Italy, just really weren't available. For example, I would have had to quit my job and start my own company and all this kind of stuff. They didn't specifically have a digital nomad visa, which was unfortunate. Now, since I've made my decision, Italy has a digital nomad visa, but it's been about 2 years and they still haven't published the details. So I probably made the right call. Incidentally, I also tried to move to the Netherlands based on another type of visa where it's a visa by birth, because my father was born in the Netherlands and he never really gave up his Dutch citizenship. I theoretically could move to the Netherlands and become a Dutch citizen, but the problem is that in order for me to do that, I would have to apply for, it's a complicated thing, no real need to get into it, but basically I'd have to apply for visas that they don't really grant And again, I'd have to quit my job, and even then, it wouldn't be. But that would have been my easiest way to get a European passport. And it's really unfortunate too, because I paid a lawyer a lot of money to determine that I was eligible for it, and they feel I should. And then I had to pay for another meeting for them to tell me it's pretty much impossible, even though I technically apply. So, whew. And what about coming back to Canada? Well, I'm not in the business of saying never, but I'm traveling, and I'm hoping to figure out how to keep traveling for as long as I can. So, I mean, kind of no. But I did promise my friends and family that after 5 years, I would at least come back for a month for a visit. So that's on the schedule, as well as many other places. Another question that I obviously get asked is, do I have any more countries that I plan on visiting? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. That's kind of the point of all this, is, to facilitate the travel. So with the digital nomad visa that I keep talking about, I have to be here a little over 6 months. So the rest of the time I plan on, touring Europe or anywhere else. And then the other 6 months I will be in Spain. And I'm going to try to keep doing that as long as I possibly can. As long as I stay in Spain for 6 months, pay my taxes, and renew my visa every 2 years, I'm golden. So it's going to be fun. So you should probably subscribe, because there's going to be lots of videos from all over the place covering who knows what kind of other countries. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Another question I get asked quite a lot is, did I get rid of my stuff? Yeah, all my stuff, basically, with the exception of what I can fit into a carry-on rollie, my carry-on backpack, and this little personal. So while I travel around, I can roll the one baggie. This goes on top, and with my backpack on, so I can move to city, no problem. But yeah, that's everything I own fits in there. And if I'm being honest, I didn't even fill them all the way. But I probably will after a while, collecting stuff, right? And yeah, it was hard. It was hard to get rid of some of the stuff that you spend a lifetime accumulating. And a lot of it had sentimental value. I somehow managed to collect quite a little collection of art, some paintings, drawings, those things from like famous paintings, including probably my most prized possession, which is my Nancy painting, which that was tough to give up. If I'm being honest, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out whether or not I could bring that with me and just hang it up wherever I go, which would have been fun, but it would have killed me to have broken it or something, right? So I found everything a good home. I donated, I sold, I threw out when I had to. And yeah, that's all I have in the whole world. And like I said, it's freeing. It's really freeing. It's scary, but freeing. Although I did cheat, I do have a corner of my friend's basement where I have some stuff, mainly my camping gear, because I thought maybe I might need it at some point. But, that's it. And probably the most common question people have been asking me is, how's the food? And on the one hand, Europeans, they just seem to do food better. They have better standards, or higher standards at least. And of course, this is the land of tapas, and Madrid certainly has a reputation for tapas. In fact, one of the reasons why I chose the apartment that I did is that it is in the historical Tapas district. And what's so cool about Tapas is that it's so creative. Like there's some standards, patata bravas and all that, but it really lends itself to, experimentation, both from the chef and you yourself, because it's a taste, right? And people like to ask me what my favorite part is, right? What my favorite part of Spain, Madrid, or doing any of this, right? Any of this travel. And I gotta say it's this. It's walking around, being around the cool buildings, and just wandering around and seeing what I can see and just exploring. That's what this is all about, and I enjoy it so much. Yeah, so that's all the questions for now. Thanks for sending them in. Please keep sending them in. In fact, if you'd like to ask more questions, throw them in the comments. With that said, maybe I should hit one of these tapas bars and get something to eat. It sounds great. So, hasta luego. Adios. Bye, everyone.